Hello, Abraham. I wanted to talk about noticing, and I've been listening to your tapes for a long time with my wife, and I've had a lot of conflicts about noticing. I've been trained to notice the worst of everything. As a military commander, I was trained to notice peril. As a builder, I was trained to notice problems that could occur, cost blowouts. As an architect, I was trained to notice flaws in design. I notice everything wrong and can't seem to notice anything right.
You are the devil. You know, the good thing about that is that when you notice what you don't want, you notice what you do want. And would you not say that in each of those occupations that the reason for your notice was solution oriented?
Absolutely. I'm always trying to solve a problem.
And so isn't it necessary? Isn't there an advantage? Can't you feel that that is in fact what all of you signed on for when you came into this physical form, that you would sift through the data in order to identify what is wanted? We're going to give you some scanty examples, and you can probably offer more. Esther will be driving, and she will have a sense that something uncomfortable is about to happen with that vehicle over there. You know who noticed it? Her inner being, not her. And you know why she thinks she noticed it? Because she was in the receptive mode and received the notice. So if Esther's inner being is noticing something that she wants to make a decision about for her benefit, is it a wrong thing that she's noticed it or a good thing?
A good thing.
Yeah. And same with you. It's part of the process of evolution, of expansion, and you can feel that directly related to what you do. Yes?
Yes, I can. I think I'm struggling with how to try and find the good things in things more often because I don't even notice them.
Well, yes, you do. And let's say, what if noticing what you don't want is just the first step in noticing what you do want? Are you never the one who's allowed to receive the solutions? In other words, are you always assigned to just find the problem? All right, you found that one, now go find another one. All right, you found that problem, now go find another one. Is that the way it is?
That's what I've been paid to do over and over and over again.
But in your own life, aren't you also the solution finder? True. And aren't you really good at that?
Yes.
Aren't you better at that than almost anybody you know?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, I am. I have to say that.
And so this is the reason that this conversation is so thrilling to us. We want all of you to acknowledge that in contrast there is value, and that even in contrast there is still control of focus, and that what step 5 is about that. So step 1 is variety or contrast helps you to identify what is wanted. Whether you are really aware that you're doing it or not, you are. In other words, even a one-celled organism is discovering preferences. Everything, the cells of your body are discovering preferences. And so even though the cells of your body aren't writing books, the cells of your body are having experiences and are coming to decisions and are putting something in their vortex, and source is answering it. And the physical evolution of all species is about exactly that. So knowing what you don't want is an important part of that equation, essential part of that equation. Then step 2 is source becomes a vibrational equivalent of that and holds steady the vibration of it, which gives the consciousness, even if it is a cell of a body or an organism, gives that consciousness opportunity to come into alignment with its expanded version of itself. You are following? And when that happens, evolution or expansion occurs. When that happens, the vibrational reality turns to a physical reality. So that's all part of that process. So step 1, step 2. Step 3 is, we just talked about it, but with the beasts of your planet or the cells in your body or the consciousness that you deem less sophisticated than your own, those consciousnesses easily accomplish step 3 because they're not so focused, which is what you're worried about, on the step 1 part of it. In other words, they're not judging step 1, they're just experiencing it. They're not judging contrast, they're just experiencing it. They are already in step 5. They know that contrast is what causes expansion, and so they're not so self-loathing or self-unworthy. They're not trying to analyze, they're not comparing their little cellular self to all of the other cellular selves in your physical body or else otherwise, you see. And so they accomplish step 3 easily. For you, you have to relearn what it is because you have, in many cases...
How do I relearn it?
Well, we're going to talk about that, so just hang in here with us for a little bit. So step 3 then is accomplished. That's what we call the allowing mode or the receptive mode. It's where you recognize that the way you feel is your indication of whether you're allowing what you've evolved to or not, whether you are closing the gap or whether you are expanding the gap. In other words, you can feel the tension in your body or the relief in your body. You can feel whether you are getting up to speed or not getting up to speed with the more expanded version of yourself. That's step 3. Step 4 is understanding how easy it is to do that, and this is the important part of step 4, caring so much about the way you feel that you are deliberately and consciously closing that gap. So once the problem is known by you, you close the gap, moving toward the solution. You don't stand in this defensive place where the problem of your life is so out of sync with what you really want that you now must defend why you're not over here. We want you to have heard that because that is the reason that so many people do not accomplish step 4. They stand in a defensiveness because they haven't received the whole manifestation. The thoughts haven't turned to the things that they want. So they stand only aware of the things that have already become, wanted and unwanted, and then they cast judgment on themselves about not being over here. That's not being good at step 4. Being good at step 4 is realizing that step 1 occurred and it was good, and step 2 happened and it is wonderful, and step 3 happens pretty frequently and you're getting better and better at it, and step 4 is a sure thing because you care about the way you feel, because you understand how the laws of the universe work, because you want to close this gap, and because you've learned how to focus, and you know that just because you noticed a problem, or let's put it more clearly, received guidance toward a problem, doesn't mean that you can't use that same ability to receive guidance toward the solution. It's a lovely thing to understand that. That's step 4. Step 5 is not being mad at yourself ever again because you're in step 1. Step 5 is understanding the value and the importance of all of it, you see. And so Esther sometimes would return to one of her properties, and right away she would notice that vultures have landed on the roof. It's unsettling when they're on her chimney. She thinks they might be waiting for her. And they've managed to peck around a little bit and pull some of the screen off of the chimney, or at least that's what she thought they were doing. And she thought, here I am. I have people all over the place, but I'm the only one that's looking at the chimney. And so in Esther's case, she might quite like someone like you looking around for peeling paint and trees that are banging on the house so that they can be addressed in the early subtle stages, in other words. And that really is what you're wanting to do with all of this. You can't know what you do want until you know what you don't want. Just don't make a lifestyle, about looking for what you don't want. All is very well with you. All is very well with you. So let's stay here for just a minute. So let's talk about step 5. The mechanism of step 5 is focus and awareness of how I'm feeling and a desire to feel good. Well, we want to say to you that you get to experience something that all humans really like, because there is nothing you like more than finding a problem and solving it, because there is nothing that you like more than expansion. You are wired for eternalness. You are wired for infinity. You are wired for forever. You are wired for never-endedness. And so this is how it will always be for you. Contrast will cause you to ask for something beyond what you are currently experiencing. And this will not feel normal to you because it was born out of contrast, and it was a fleeting reception of an idea born from your contrast that the source within you recognized and you received. Did you follow that just a little bit? So now it's born. It's foreign to you, but you care about the way you feel. So you think about it and you look forward to it and you don't beat the drum of its opposite. And then you close that gap and it feels gooder, better, delicious as you close it. Feels good to close that gap. And now you stand in a new experience, because now that gap's closed, that thought has turned to a thing. So now you are experiencing the solution. You're experiencing the invention. You're experiencing the harmony. You're experiencing a sort of conclusion. You're experiencing the manifestation, the physical reality, actualization, manifestation. And now, at the same time that you get that, you get a whole new set of contrasting experiences, that you know what you don't want and you know what you do want. And then the process begins again. Feels freakishly foreign at first, but you know how to close the gap. You know how to feel yourself into that happiness. You know how to feel yourself into that clarity. So you do it again. And the manifestation happens. And you revel in the manifestation. And in the accomplishment of that new manifestation, you also now get a whole new set of contrasting experiences that gives birth to another rocket of desire. And so what we want to convey to all of you is the sweetness of life is in the moving toward the satisfaction of something that was at first a problem or a contrasting experience. And step 5 is understanding the eternal inevitability of your ability to see improvement. That's what makes us expanding, evolving, eternal consciousness, you see. It's just so natural to us. And the one thing that you might want to do, we certainly wish it for you, that would give you such a jump start on living more happily ever after, is if you could just take away from this moment in time this statement that you, without exception, are ready for right here and now. I will never again defend where I am as if where I am is wrong. And when that defensiveness is gone from you, when you stand in that place of knowing the rightness of that step 1 moment, then there will be such a free-flowing, such an ease in closing the gap, until those who have trained you and those who are hiring you and those who are benefiting by your expert focus and specific gaze will know you not only to be one who receives with clarity. It's like Esther losing a piece of jewelry from her hand and not knowing it. And as she's leaving the room, looking there, right there, at the problem of having left the jewelry on the floor. She's real glad that she received that problem. She didn't want that problem. She wanted the solution of putting it back on her hand. She threw it away with the garbage one day. And 5 minutes later, for some reason not explainable, returned to put something else there. So odd, so very, very odd. Why would I go all the way out through 2 gates into the back of the garage to throw away this little piece of paper that could have just as well gone in another receptacle? Because your ring was there. Because your ring was there, you see. We've enjoyed this interaction immensely. Good time for a segment of refreshment.